Welcome to Season 2 of Village Church's podcast. This fall and winter, we're going to be looking at how to dive deeper into the Enneagram. And so you may have heard of the Enneagram, you may have not have heard of it, but we're going to be taking a deeper dive into it of looking at all the ways that it can help us grow personally as well as spiritually. Mm-hmm. And, again, you may be familiar with it or maybe brand new to it, but today we're just going to look at, what's the big deal with it? Yeah. And so if you're wondering why people are so obsessed with it or why this has been gaining so much traction recently, then this episode is definitely for you. Mm-hmm. So first off, let me just kind of give a brief say of what it is. There's so many personality tests, and what the Enneagram does that's kind of unique is that it has these 9 personality types that we're going to dive more deeper into today. But with each 9, it kind of describes who your personality is, and I'll get more into that later. But
yeah, and one of the things is about this personality test is probably the oldest paradigm of personalities that's kind of around. Trying to figure out who exactly invented it is kind of like trying to figure out who invented the wheel. It's been around for a long time. It's been really popular in Christian circles, and we know that it's been around, and used for a long time. But really, sort of this popular, sort of well-known formulation and understanding of the Enneagram has only really kind of become popular in general culture over the last 100 years or so.
For sure. Yeah. Well, as I mentioned before, there's a ton of different personality types, like the Myers-Briggs, the Big Five personality test. And what I find helpful and unique about this one is how, other personality tests might tell you what is unique to your personality, but this one not only says your unique personality type, but it also says what are you most susceptible to as a vice? Mm-hmm. And then what is a corresponding virtue that can help you through that vice? And so that's why I see this as also as a spiritual practice, because it can help you identify what sin or what brokenness is most likely for you to fall into, and also gives advice on how to move through that.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's been so popular in Christian circles for so long. It's got this really clear sort of direction. Once you kind of understand your type, you kind of understand the ways that you tend to behave when you're moving in an unhealthy direction, and sort of have a little bit of a goal of where to move towards in a healthy way, and give you kind of a clear picture of this is a unique way that I can show a characteristic or a virtue that God's kind of given me to the world. And so I think that's one thing that really kind of makes it unique and stand out, and why it's been so helpful in spiritual direction and spiritual guidance over the centuries.
Awesome. Well, with that introduction, let's kind of dive right in and look at those 9 personality types. Well, the first one is called the reformer. And the basic desire of the reformer is they care about things being done and things being done right. They care about the ideal itself. They're the idealist. And they care about things being done, not with slack or with a lack of integrity, but they want it done for its own sake, because they believe that there's a goodness in the end of the ideal. And so, they are willing to do whatever they can, work really hard towards it, change systems, have those difficult conversations if need be, because they believe that moving towards this ideal is so important.
And they have a clear sense of justice, right and wrong.
Yes, that's why they're the reformer. They're the ones that they're changing the sense of justice in the wider community.
They want to fix the system.
Cool.
The number 2 is the helper. I think we find a lot of people who are 2s in Christian circles, because there's a lot of really good things and a lot of things about the 2 personality that are sort of the core of the Christian ethic. They want to help people, sort of be that self-sacrificing person to kind of help the other person be the best that they can be. And they can kind of, that's their big goal. They want to be needed, and they want to help other people.
For sure. Number 3 is the achiever, and there's a lot of similarities between the achiever and the reformer, but I'd say the main difference is motivation, where the reformer is achieving because they believe that there's a change that needs to be happened. We need to pursue this ideal, Where the achiever, they're working really hard because they want to feel like they're valuable. That they want to achieve success, or they want to get notoriety, or they want to be known for helping others. But they really value being valued. That's what's important to them.
And they want to be all that they can be. That's their motto.
Love it.
The number 4 personality, they are the individualist. I like to think of, there's probably a lot of hipsters who are number 4s.
The angsty artist.
The angsty artist. I think, this person really wants to be uniquely them. They don't want to be, they don't want to be part of the crowd. They want to be, out there plowing ahead, being unique and being the first one on all the trends. These are the people who are looking for that new artist, that new style.
And so if everyone is already about something, they're not going to be about it.
Oh yeah, no. Why would I go? That's so basic. Yeah. And then the number 5, the investigator. The investigator wants to understand things kind of completely. This is the person who will get interested in a topic, even if it has nothing to do with what they're normally interested in. They will find a love of learning, a love of understanding, and really doing a deep dive on topics, skills, and kind of really learning and getting a mastery of knowledge on particular things.
Number 6 is the loyalist, and these are the people of your friend group who are just probably some of your most loyal friends. They're there for you when things get tough, and they're going to show up. They're going to be present with you. On the flip side, the loyalist can also be pretty skeptical because they know that when they give their loyalty, they are all in, and so they're very cautious of really giving that loyalty. But at the same time, once they give that loyalty, like I said before, they're all in and they're looking to see how they can help. But they're looking for assurance and they have a little hard time finding certainty on their own. And so they tend to find that in others' assurance.
Yeah. And then the number 7 personality is the enthusiast. I think when I think of the enthusiast, I think of Tigger. Right? That person who is just all about the new experience. Let's go plow forward. Let's try the new thing. Let's try that new restaurant, that new experience. But they also might have a bad case of FOMO.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Because they don't want to eliminate their options and miss out on something better.
Yes. They want to taste all the good food.
Sweet. So number 8 is the challenger. And these are the people who kind of like the reformer, they have ideals, and once anyone is in their way from that ideal, they are going full steam ahead, willing to bulldoze anything to reach that ideal. So, some people tend to be people pleasers or feel guilty about saying no, but for the challenger, they have no problem with that, because they want to reach whatever they want to reach or help wherever they want to help. And so, if you are a friend of one of these people, they are maybe the first ones who are next to you if you're getting bullied or are going to stand up with you for injustice.
Yep.
And they also are the highest energy of any of the personality type on the Enneagram. And so these tend to be some of the most successful CEOs.
They sure do. And then the last one is, it's kind of ironic that the number 9, the peacemaker, goes last, because this personality would be most likely to let everybody else go first. Kind of wanting to establish peace. If everybody else needs to go first, they can go first. Not a big deal. That's kind of a thing that 9s say a lot. It's no big deal. We can all just kind of chill out. So 9s have this really kind of calm presence that they kind of carry with them.
So if you're in a conflict with a 9, it might be they are silent and kind of holding back, and you have to pull it out of them.
That would most certainly be it. Yes. Or they just might just agree with you so they can kind of move on.
So it's hard even if you're in conflict with a 9.
It is exactly it. Yes.
Cool. Well, we thought it might be helpful to give an example of what, of the situation and how each personality type might respond, so that you can maybe get a better idea of your type. Because for me, it took me a while to really land on my type. And so we just want to give an example of what that might look like through a situation. So here's the situation. Imagine yourself, you're walking on the street and someone comes up to you and they have a clipboard. And right away, you know what they want. They're going to want your signature for some cause. But this cause is unknown to you.
Yep.
And so how do you respond?
Yep.
Well, again, let's start with the number 1, the reformer. The reformer, when the person comes up to them, they're not going to sign right away.
Nope.
And they're going to move off to the side. They're going to make sure they get the right name of the company and the website, and they're going to check them up on like Charity Navigator.
Yep.
Because they want to make sure that this company has integrity, that this nonprofit is stewarding their money well, and that they are above board. Because they don't want to put their name on anything that turns out to be a unjust cause.
Oh, they would hate that.
Yeah, that would kill them.
Yes.
That would drive them crazy.
Yeah. Whereas number 2, the helper, this person probably doesn't even need to be approached by the person with the clipboard. They probably are like, hey, you look like you need help. They're there. They're the ones that are saying, hey, like, I can put my name here, but is there other ways I can get involved, other ways I can contribute to the cause? They want to contribute. They want to help because they most certainly are the helper.
So number 3, the achiever, they might be a little hesitant as well at first, but when they do land on it, when they do decide, they're probably going to be checking the website as well. But once they do decide, they are all in.
Yes.
And they want to be known in that organization. Like they want, other people in that organization to know of them. And so if they give a gift, the last thing they would ever do is give it anonymously.
No. Yeah.
They would much rather be recognized for that gift and be valued at that corporation for their contribution to it.
Yeah, they want their name on a plaque somewhere, on a park bench or a rock.
Absolutely.
Whereas the individualist, they're not interested in so much whether or not they can get prestige from the organization or from the cause, but they're interested if the cause is unique, if nobody else is really kind of behind it or it's not popular. If they,
so it's just an initial pioneering phase.
That's exactly, yeah. They love to be there for the startup phase, for to be able to say like, oh, like check out this new thing that I found, this new cause to be excited about.
What about the investigator?
The investigator, the number 5, is going to want to understand everything. They're going to understand like what led to the problem, what's the situation, and how is the organization working to fix it. All the kind of the details. They're going to want to have the big idea. They're going to look at like the spreadsheets and see where the money's moving.
Asking for the annual reports.
They're going to want all that information before they sign on because they want to be able to make sure that they've got all the information they need to make the right decision about this.
Gotcha. And the enthusiast is going to be probably kind of similar to the helper. If
don't forget about number 6.
Oh my gosh, number 6. Oof, the loyalist. So the loyalist, they're going to be a little skeptical of the person who is approaching them because in their mind they're going to think, how reputable can they be? How much credibility can they have if they're just approaching me on the street? And so what the 6 is going to do when they research is they're going to look to see who else that they trust is on board with this organization. If they can find a few other trustworthy people or organizations that they already trust in, then that'll give them the confidence to lend their signature as well.
Going to be asking their friends if they've heard of or if they support. Yeah. Whereas then, like the enthusiast, right? Like the enthusiast is the one who's going to be all excited about it. He's going to be like a new opportunity. He's going to want to be, he's going to want to bring other people, get others involved, and be really excited about it.
And so the guy who is, with the clipboard, the one with the clipboard, they're probably so excited at first about this person.
Absolutely. But they're going to be fairly disappointed on this person's follow through.
Oh man.
They might be putting their name down, put their email, give them even their phone number, but they might not respond back to them later.
Yeah. And so their intentions are totally good.
Oh, absolutely. But like they might go another 2 blocks and find somebody else who's with a clipboard and be just as excited about that one as well.
And so again, because of the FOMO, they're afraid of committing to one organization, and there's so many great ones to help.
Or they might even be committed to so many that it's hard for them to put all of their energy in one place.
Yep, makes sense. The challenger, I feel like if any of the people on this list, number 8, the challenger, if anyone on this list is the least likely to sign, it would be them.
Absolutely.
And they would be so unlikely to sign because they would feel that the person is trying to guilt them into getting a signature. And so that would feel really abrasive to them. And they would be like, back up, buddy.
No desire to be coerced.
No desire to be coerced.
Yes. And whereas like number 9 is probably the peacemaker doesn't want to offend the person. They went through all this hard work to approach me. They're doing a really good job. They're out here, and sure, the peacemaker might be the one who ends up signing and without realizing that he's done so. Just kind of going along with the flow, answering the questions and nodding yes.
Cool. I hope that the descriptions and the stories have helped you to get a better sense of maybe what your type is. But if you're still like, not too sure like what my type is, then really recommend taking a test.
Yeah.
And so one free test we found that seemed good online is at openpsychometrics.org. And you can find it on that website, and we'll also put a post on our Facebook page in the show notes for you where you can click the link and take the test. But if you're looking for more information on what type you are, recommend taking a test.
Absolutely. And it'll have some links to some more information that's a lot more detailed than what we're going into here.
For sure. But we want to kind of end here with saying what our personality types were, to just kind of say, like, what have we found as the benefit of knowing our types? Like, what difference has it made? And I can go first. For me, like, I always really wanted to be the eighth, the challenger, but it never really has been me. Like you know, anger for me, like, it's hard to hold on to, and so like I just, you know, I'm not naturally the person who challenges others, and so I'm definitely number 6, the loyalist. And for a lot of this was, you know, hard for me to accept because it wasn't really what I wanted to be, but I definitely resonated with this idea that like you're a little skeptical of pretty much everything. And, you know, when you do become loyal to something, you're all in, hence being a pastor. But, you know, once you're all in, you are all in. But even then, like, you have a hard time finding like the perfect certainty in your convictions. And so you tend to kind of look for reassurance in others. And so the reason why I really landed on this, because I was debating between a few others, was when I learned about this idea of triads. And so triads is that there are 3 different groupings in the Enneagram. There is anger, image, and fear. And so for the triads, we'll get more into it later, but the basic idea is like these are the things that motivate each group. And I am so motivated by fear. Like I'm totally a people pleaser. And so, you know, for me, I have to personally work through those fears to like ask people to help me out or ask people to do things for me or so many other things, or to challenge someone. I have to work through my fear. It doesn't come natural. But I guess how it's really benefited me then in saying all this is that it's given me more empathy for both myself and others. Yeah. You know, because before, like, I would see a challenger who maybe had lost, you know, control of their anger, and I would think, oh, I'm so much better than that person. Like, you know, I have control over my anger. But in the same, you know, on the reverse side, like that challenger, they have no problem of not fearing others, and like they're not held back by their fear. Yeah. And so they could think the same exact thing of me, and they could think of how much better they are than me because, you know, they're not a people pleaser, and they could easily look down on me. Yeah. But what this has helped me seeing is that like every single person has their own unique strengths and weaknesses, and so it's kind of giving me more of a compassion for others and a kind of understanding where they're coming from, versus thinking that I'm somehow better than others. Yeah.
And it's funny you say that because like one of the things that like they tell you is that, you know, you've kind of found your type when you're uncomfortable with that type's weakness. Oh yeah. When you feel like, that's like, I don't like that. That's a characteristic maybe I dislike about myself. And for me, I'm the peacemaker. I'm number 9. And so like, you know, we talk about these 3 sort of drivers or parts of these triads. Like anger, this emotion of anger, I would have told you like, I don't get angry ever, which is like exactly what a peacemaker does. They distance themselves so much from their anger that they kind of miss out on the opportunity that kind of anger allows us all to have. Because anger sometimes can kind of get a bit of a bad rap. But really, anger is an emotion that allows us to activate, to do something, to engage rightly with something. And so as I've kind of, you know, thought about and kind of wrestled with sort of being a 9 and kind of seeing how does that reflect me or not, it's been helpful for me to get in touch with, oh, I'm actually angry about this thing. Yeah. And maybe standing up for myself, standing up for others, and doing something about it.
Sweet. Well, hopefully, you know, that's helpful for you to hear how we've benefited from it, and we want you to benefit from the Enneagram as well. So if you're not sure what your personality type is, we would totally recommend you to, again, go to that same website, the openpsychometrics.org, which, again, we will have it posted. And even better, like if this has been helpful for you or valuable, like if you could, you know, first leave us a comment and just share, like, for yourself, like, what ways knowing your personality type after you've taken a test, or if you already know it, what ways that's been helpful. We'd love to hear, as well as if you could share this with others. That'd be really the biggest compliment you could give us, is
Absolutely.
sharing it with someone else who you think would benefit from it as well.
Yeah. And the next 2 podcast episodes we're going to do over the next 2 months, we're going to do a bit of a deeper dive on this.
Okay.
And like, as each of us have kind of, figured out what our type is, we're going to talk about those strengths and those weaknesses, and then begin to kind of talk about how do we grow and how do we involve our faith and spirituality in that.
Awesome. Well, hope to see you next time.